Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 27 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're unleashing the power of your Raspberry Pi Pico W. I will need you to pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee poured over ice. No sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at SunFounder. SunFounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons. And in this class, we will be using the SunFounder Kepler kit for Raspberry Pi Pico W. Now, most of you guys probably already have your gear, but if you don't, look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon. You can hop on over there and pick your kit up. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot easier if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. I'm going to show you my solution to the homework assignment that I gave you in lesson number 26. And that is what I called the Grand Challenge homework. And I was predicting that I think I would be happy if out of 325,000 subscribers, if there was one that was able to do this homework. Okay, if there was one that was able to do this homework. So if you weren't able to do it, don't feel bad. You can watch me do it. But let me say, you do need to leave a comment down below. If you were able to do it, say, I am Uber legend, double chest bump. Or if you were not able to do it, I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Now, I bet when most of you guys saw this assignment, probably most of you ran from the room crying like a little child because it did seem pretty impossible to do. Maybe some of you went and started Googling to see, like a library that would make a potato chip or something like that. All right. But what you're going to see is while you thought it looked really, really hard, what you're going to see today is it's really, really easy. And in fact, that lesson that we did last week to make the floating potato chip, really, you only need to change one line of code. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you today. These things are called the Lissajous patterns. And if you would have looked at my playlist and saw the upcoming lesson 27, and if you would have Googled Lissajous, you probably would have seen how to do this. But I've been playing around with these things since I was a little kid, and they're absolutely fascinating to me. So let's look at what that assignment was. That assignment was to come over here and to create the floating, rotating Pringles potato chip. Okay, so it looks really, really hard, but it turns out that it's really, really easy. And we're going to get into some really exciting and interesting math. And so let's just jump in and see if we can do that. So really, all we got to do is write the program from last week, which doing that again today is good practice on all the things that we're studying. And then I'll show you how to change one line of code to get this thing to do some pretty amazing things. So let's come over to the code view here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite that circle program, which is good practice, by the way, anyway. So we're going to say from machine, because we are using the GPIO pins, we need to import pin. And then also we're going to be using that I2C bus, so we need to import I2C. We are going to need to import our OLED library, SSD 1306. And you guys, if you're just jumping in here, there's a link down below where you can buy this little OLED display. I think it is about $5 or $6. And then also it was lesson number 25, I believe, where I showed you how to install the library and the basics of running the OLED display. And now we're doing kind of cool stuff on it. Okay, we want to import SSD 1306 from SSD 1306. We want to import the library SSD 1306 underscore I2C. Okay, now we want to import time. And then we need to set up our I2C bus. I'm going to call mine I2C. You can call yours Kitty Litter Box if you want to, but I'm going to call mine I2C. And this is the library we just imported, I2C. And then what channel are we on? We are on channel 1. And then our SDA is equal to pin 2. Our SDA on the I2C is pin 2, and our SCL on the I2C is pin 3. Go back and watch lesson 25 if you want me to take you through this step by step. But we're moving on in this lesson, and then I'm going to set the frequency to 400,000 just because I can. Okay, let me make sure 400,000. And then we're going to close that. Now I've got my I2C bus set up. I need to set up my display object. I'm going to call it DSP, and this is going to be SSD 1306, and then underscore I2C. This is that library we just imported. I need to tell it that I've got 128 columns, 64 rows, and I'm going to talk to this baby using I2C, that library or that bus that I just set up in the above line. All right, now we've got that set up. We're going to have to do a little math, so I better import math. And then I've got to set the radius of my circle. I'm going to set it to 34. And remember, all we're trying to do is draw a circle. And so I got to tell it where I want the center of the circle. So I'm going to say the X center is at column 64, which is in the middle, right? Halfway to 128 is 64. And then we're going to say Y center is equal to 32. Okay, that looks good. And now we're ready to come in and say while true, when is true? True is always true. Okay, now we're going to say for, so we created an infinite loop, and now we are going to generate our circle by going around 360 degrees with that radius vector that's 34 pixels long. So I'm going to say 4 degrees in range, and the range is going to go from 0 to 360 in 1 degree increments. Put in my colon, and now I'm going to remember, I like to think in degrees. MicroPython works in radians, so I've got to convert degrees to radians. So I'm going to say rads is equal to our degree, and then we're going to say times 2 pi, so times 2 times 2 times 3.14 divided by 360, like that. So now I've got radians. Now I'm going to get my X value, and remember this from a few lessons ago. It is just the radius times math.cosine of rads. Okay, and so that is just your simple SOHCAHTOA. This is what they taught every one of you back in trigonometry, but you probably forgot the next day because they didn't show you why it was important. But our X value on the circle is radius times cosine of rads, and then I want to move it over to the right spot. So I'm going to move it to the center, so I'm just going to say plus X center, and so that will take it from the corner over to the right column position, and then Y is equal to R times math.sine of rads, and this time, since it's up and down, it will be plus Y center. Could it really be that easy? I ask you, could it really be that easy? Now I want to DSP that pixel, and what do I want to display? I want to display X, comma, Y, comma, a 1, meaning turn the pixel on. Okay, now one thing we know is we know that this command wants a integer, and this is probably going to create a float. So I'm just going to take the int of this whole thing, and that will give me an integer. And then I'm going to take the int of this whole thing, and that will give me an integer. And now when I pass those two integers as X and Y to display pixel, everyone should be happy. Now what I want to do is I want to dsp.show, and then I'm going to go like that. And now if I am lucky, and I think I am, this should come over here and it should just draw a circle like last week. I will need everyone to hold their breath. The circle is coming. We are getting a circle, circular action here. And look at that, look at that, look at that. Now, one thing I can see is that I made my circle too big and it's not fitting on there, but that's okay. We'll come back over here and we'll tone it down from 32. What if we made it like 24? Let's see if we can do 24, if that'll fit on there pretty well, right? We want it to kind of fit on there, but you're saying, you're just repeating last week. Where is all this Lissajous business? Just be patient. Okay, that is still, did I not move it down far enough? I need to move it. I did the wrong thing. So 34 and 32, and it is this radius. It is this radius that I need to take down to say 24. All right, let's see if we can get a good circle. And what I'm telling you is I'm fixing to show you the magic. The magic is fixing to happen here. Let's just make sure we get a good circle. Okay, it is up in that nonsense region a little bit, so I'm going to bring it down further. I'm going to say maybe 36 because I don't want this yellow. I don't want this going into the yellow part of the screen. So let's give it a shot here, and I hope that I get it close enough to get a pretty good looking circle this time. Let's come over here and look at it, and that is still up there. Let's bring it down. Let's say, let's live dangerously and say 39. A more prepared YouTuber would have known the number going into the lesson, but I'm just kind of showing you I'm a little bit winging it here. And denied. Okay, we're going to go 41. Okay, we're going to go 41 this time, and I'm really almost certain that this one will work. And so let's run it. And so you're saying, when's he going to get to the potato chip? Be patient. We're almost there. We're one line of code, like maybe 2 characters away from making the potato chip. Okay, and that looks like I went off the bottom of the screen a little bit, which means my radius is too big. So let's come over here in the radius. Let's make it 22. I'll try it one more time, and then I promise we'll get to the potato chip. I believe we got it that time. Okay, I do believe we got it. Okay, so we have a circle there. We do have a circle. We do have a circle there. All right, I am going to make it 21 just to give it a little more, just to give it a little bit more headspace up there. Okay, now, who believes that by typing 2 characters that I can make the potato chip? By typing 2 characters. Okay, let's try it. I am going to come up to my Y value, and instead of going through at rads, I'm going to go through at 2 times rads. All right, now 2 characters 2 times. Let's see what happens. Hold your breath. Okay, something's happening. It might be looking like a potato chip. It might be looking like a potato chip, and it is a potato chip. Okay, so what did we do? What did we do? We took that circle and we twisted it like this. It's like, imagine you had a loop here, and I took it and went like this, and now I've got a loop like that. What is it saying? In the Y value, I am going through Y values twice as fast as I'm going through X values. And so the Y goes up and down, and X hasn't gotten done yet, so Y goes up and down again. So Y goes up and down twice while X is just making its path around. And that takes that circle and it twists it. Now, I want to make it look a little bit more like a potato chip. I want to make it look a little bit more like a potato chip. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I don't want it so tall, so I'm just going to say 0.5 times that on Y. So I'll squish it down so it looks a little bit more like a Pringle. So let's try that again. And I am going to come in here, and then I am going to draw that, and it will take just a second. Oh, wow, it's even making me hungry. That looks like a Pringles. It looks like a Pringles. Look at that. Okay, can you see the potato chip? Imagine the potato chip. Now, most of you guys are probably going to be crying foul, and the reason you're going to be crying foul is saying, well, yours was dancing, yours was spinning around. Okay, what do? We just add a little phase to the X, so I'm advancing. So if you think of the potato chip, I'm just advancing the position of the potato chip in X like that. So we're going to add a little bit of phase. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of phase, and so I'll show you how to do that. We're going to come up and start with phase equal to 0. Phase is equal to 0. And then also, I don't want to redraw every time, and so I'm only going to redraw it after it has drawn it. And then after it has drawn it once, then I want to take that old one out by saying DSP dot fill, and I want to fill it with zeros. Okay, so that should clear the display if I'm thinking about it right. And then what I want to do is I want to increment the phase, and so phase is equal to phase plus 1, but that's like 1 degree. Well, what do I need to do? I need to convert that 1 degree to radians, and so I'll say times 2 pi, so that's times 2 times 3.14 divided by 360, like that. Okay, now that creates the phase. Now I've just got to add the phase up here to the X. Okay, I've got to add the phase to the rads here, and that's what will put that little spin on it. So I will come in and I will add phase. Okay, I do need everyone to hold their breath this time. And right, this one's going to go fast because I'm not showing redrawing, I'm just showing it after it's drawn. And so I'll come over here and we are going to run this thing and giddy up the floating, spinning potato chip. All right. Man, I have been playing with these Lissajous patterns since I was a little kid, and I've always found them absolutely fascinating. Okay, now that one is a little flat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I want to kind of fill the screen up a little bit more. What if we make the radius? What if we make the radius like, oh, I don't know. I'm going to try 35 this time. Okay, I'm going to try a radius of 35, and let's see how that looks. That should make the potato chip fill the screen a little bit better. Oh yeah, that is beautiful, beautiful. And now I'm wondering, maybe instead of 0.5, what if I just said like 0.7? Is that going to go off the screen or not? I'm trying to get the perfect Lissajous pattern. Okay. That was a little bit too much, so let's go 0.65. Do you see how I kind of lost the bottom of the screen? So I need to compress that a little bit in the vertical direction. And that, my friend, is absolutely beautiful. Now, what if we did it the other way? What if we made this one 1 and we made this one 2? What do you think that would do? Someone tell me what you think that would do. Let's run it and see. Okay, let's run it and see. And what we can see that did is it took the potato chip and it turned it this way. And now instead of rotating it this way, it is rotating this way. So you can see that we have like turned the potato chip on its side, although it is still, I think, rotating this way. No, it is rotating that way. It is rotating that way. When we flipped it, it is now rotating that way. So we have the vertical version of the potato chip. Okay, now tell me what might be interesting. Let me go back to the other one. Okay, let me go back to the other one, and I want you to kind of start thinking about nodes. Okay, I want you to think about nodes. So I'm going to make this a 1, and I'm going to make this a 2 like we originally had it. Okay, so the X is a 1 and the Y is a 2 like we originally had it. And now let's run that. And then let's see if we get that original potato chip. Yeah, we'll call that the classic potato chip. All right, but what I want you to see on the classic potato chip, if you look at it, I've got 2 nodes. I've got 2 nodes along the x-axis. I've got 2 nodes along the x-axis, and really along y there is only 1 node. So it is 2 and 1. It is what? 2 nodes and 1 node. All right. What if I made this one a 3 and left that one a 2? Now watch what happens. What is this nonsense? I typed 3. What if I make this one a 3 and this one a 2? Now let's come in and run it with a 3 and a 2. And let's look at that. Look at that. How many nodes? It's like I have got 1, 2, 3 nodes and 2 nodes, right? 2 nodes this way and 3 nodes that way. Is that pretty neat? Okay, let's come back over here. And what if I said this one is 2 and this one is 3? Now it'll be kind of the other way where the nodes are. And so let's look at that. And what you can see now is I have 1, 2, 3 nodes and 2 nodes, and that's almost like kind of like a wire basket that is spinning around. And you kind of can see that you can count the nodes and figure out what the Lissajous parameters were. Sometimes, just for fun, I like to go a little crazy. Well, let me show you this. What if I went 5 and 1? This is going to kind of make a like a sine wave that is wrapped around itself. And so let's take a look at that. And what you can see is that's like a sine wave, like you take a sine wave and then you wrap it around a can. And then that is what you get with the 5 and 1. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to count kind of fast to see them. Let's just go crazy. Let's say 5 in that direction and 3 in this direction. And let's try that. Okay, let me tell you guys, if you show this, this will impress the women. They'll be going to town saying, my man can do Lissajous patterns, okay? Because this is just really, really neat. And I have a lot of fun working with these things. And like I say, I've been playing with these since I was a little kid. And so guys, again, let me know if any of you were able to figure this out. Let me know if any of you guys were able to figure this out. And then I think I'm going to do one more lesson on playing with this OLED display using kind of trigonometry to see if I can spur a little interest in that math. Man, I think trigonometry was the most hated course in all of high school. And it was hated because it was, first of all, most teachers didn't understand trigonometry. Second of all, most teachers didn't love trigonometry. Third of all, most teachers didn't know why it was important. And therefore, for you, the student, it was just torture. But now you can see it's kind of fun and it helps you do some pretty neat things. So what is your homework assignment? Your homework assignment is to go in and at least get this working like what I have working here, right? Get it working like what I have working, and then, post your homework solution to YouTube and make sure that you link back to this video. Guys, when you post your homework, I actually go in and look at every single one of them, and I love seeing the work that you're doing. And so let's see who can come up with the most interesting Lissajous patterns, and then we'll move forward with a little more trigonometry next week. And then what we'll do is we'll get back to using more components and doing more things more directly related to the Raspberry Pi Pico W and the kit and all that sort of stuff. But I just was having so much fun. I could not resist doing these patterns once we started kind of playing with making a circle. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed taking these classes as much as I do making them. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Also, leave a comment down below because that will help us with the old YouTube juice. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. When you do, make sure you ring that bell so you'll get notifications when future lessons drop. And then, as always, share this video with other people because the world needs more people doing coding and fewer people sitting around watching silly cat videos. Paul McCorder with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.